Hi, I'm Kristen, and today I'll be talking about spiritual hermiting. So recently I've been called to seclude myself for the purpose of finding peace, serenity, and personal integrity. So I am an introvert and I spend a lot of time by myself willingly. So this isn't the hardest thing to do, but I've specifically been called to kind of like the hermit role, which would be kind of more focusing on introspection and internal guidance, focusing on within instead of without. And so I figured that I would talk about today, like what I try to focus on and like some questions that I ask myself in order to kind of bring more personal enlightenment, in order to bring more kind of optimism to my life, to kind of make my day go easier and to make my upcoming week, month, year become better than it would have been otherwise. So just to get right into it, one of the first kind of quotes that I thought about when thinking about hermiting was this quote within the Bible about the kingdom of God is within you. So you don't have to be a Christian to kind of have this resonate, or you can take it or leave it, honestly. But within the Bible, in Luke 17:20-21, it says, "When Jesus was asked when the kingdom of God should come, he answered, 'The kingdom of God does not come with observation, nor will they say here or see there, for behold, the kingdom of God is within you.'" And then later on in John 18:36, Jesus was on trial before Pontius Pilate, and he also said, "My kingdom is not of this world." Um, so if you're ever trying to kind of get through really hard times, deal with any trauma that you've had, just again, find a more optimistic place to be looking at the world. The way to do that is not by looking outside of yourself and thinking, what can I be running around and doing? What are changes that I can immediately make that's going to put me in a better mindset? Like that's not typically how it works, because the kingdom of God is within you. Everything originates from within yourself and then kind of bleeds out and comes out as like this light that is reflected in your like 3D physical world. You kind of have to tackle what's on the inside first. Do shadow work. Like shadow work is kind of tackling again all of your trauma, all of the fears, insecurities, just any of the gunk that is within you that doesn't feel so great. Tackling that and kind of ridding yourself of it first, like that's really important. And then going within yourself and finding like what actually brings me joy, what actually resonates with me, not what am I sticking with because um, perhaps I've been around it for a long time, or provide stability, or um, not thinking so much about like what things are expected of me that I should be doing and how can I do things even more, do them better so that these expectations are met. Like you kind of have to clear all that out and think, um, like what would actually bring me joy if I felt like I could be doing anything, or if like there were no limits in place for like what I could do with my life. And so that has been on my mind a lot lately, and I've had my own answers to these questions. I've had my own struggles that I've been dealing with and trying to move through so that I'm not kind of in a darker mindset. Um, but I did find that there are these certain questions that I've asked myself that I can kind of go through every single day, that kind of take me out of any kind of like looping thought patterns that I might have, or any kind of like victimization of myself that I might have. I try not to do that as much as possible. I tend to think of the past as being in the past, and it's something that I've gone through and I've learned from, but I'm not a victim to it. But if I ever do find myself in that spot and just thinking like, oh, woe is me, why did this happen to me? I focus on these questions and they kind of pull me out. So the first one that I have written down here is, what am I grateful for today? And I know this is like the staple question of mindfulness, but being able to focus on just like what is it that I have in my life right now actively that I could say like it's not a problem for me. This is something that brings me happiness. Like that is like an instant kind of like mood booster, and it's something that instantly kind of like brightens the mind. And so like at least in my own personal life, if I was going to answer that question, I could say like my kids bring me happiness like every single day. And now that we're in spring now, so we're going into like the warmer months, like I can get outside more often, get more fresh air, and that makes me happy. But it will be different for everybody based on kind of like the lifestyle that you live. But there's of course there's something, like if you have a roof over your head, if you have food in your fridge, like there's something to be grateful for every day. um, and then I think about how can I reframe something that has bothered me. And again, this is kind of going back to not wanting to be looping on thoughts and instead moving through them. So instead of ruminating on something where I'm saying, like, I don't have enough of this, or I wish this was happening for me, or I wish this person felt that way, instead of having these thoughts kind of bubble and seethe and grow and like create animosity or resentment, I try to think like what exactly can I do in order to figure out how I've learned from it or how to move through it. So let's take for example, like if you don't have enough money and you're saying like, well, I can't go on this vacation that I really wanted to go on with my friends, or um, there's just something that I really needed to do to fix my house and I can't afford it. Like I would reframe that as thinking of like, well, true, there are other things going on that might be very wonderful that I might want to be doing or I might want to invest in. But again, it goes back to like the first question, like, what am I grateful for today? Those things might not be happening at this time, but I have X, Y, and Z that is in my life. And that makes everything kind of like easier to handle and easier to manage. And so if the thing that is bothering me or bothering you is kind of something outside of the scope of what can be resolved, like let's say it is a trauma that has already occurred, you can't take it back, you can't change the past. There's also a way to like kind of learn about your own resiliency, your own strength, and just thinking about like, well, if I hadn't gone through this horrible thing that is unchangeable, then like I wouldn't be this person that has this kind of discernment and strength that I have now. Then another question that I like to ask myself is, what am I looking forward to, like big and small? And so this would be even just like little things that you would have on a planner. So I like to go online and like look for local events, like libraries, like little book sales and like family events. So I might think like, well, these are the things that I'm grateful for right now and the things that I've gone through. But these are like just like the little pick me up things that I can look forward to. So I might say like, I know that on Saturday morning I'm going to run to the store and I'm going to go get an energy drink or something like that, or I'm going to go to Starbucks and I'm going to get the drink that I like. Or it could be something that's kind of more involved with family or friends, where I know that I'm going to go out on a certain weekend to go to a concert, or I'm going to again like go to a book sale and just be able to like kind of like mingle with other people that like to read all the time, and like that's always like really refreshing and a pick me up. So I like to think about like just those little things that are on the horizon and even like the big things that are on the horizon. So if you know that a holiday's coming up that you're going to celebrate and you're going to see people that you haven't seen in a long time, or you know that you have somebody on the schedule that you haven't spoken to in a long time and you're like, yay, I'm finally going to be able to like talk to them again because they've been so busy. Like all of these things are kind of ways to amp up your mindset and make you just feel like you're living in like a kind of brighter, happier kind of world. And then the last question I like to ask myself is, how can I visualize to manifest my goals? So beyond like the little tiny kind of plans of what I'm looking forward to, I like to think about like, well, what is it that I don't have planned because it's not currently happening, but I would like to have happen? So this goes back to like the law of attraction, law of assumption, and goes to like the sky is the limit. Like again, the kingdom of God is within you. So anything that you desire, it's kind of already existing out there somewhere in the ether, some type of timeline, and you can kind of grasp onto it and hold it in, and like that will come to fruition in your life if you believe that it will. So I kind of look back on my life and I think of like, these are things that I'm grateful for. And I can kind of see wheels turning within my mind of like how I might have manifested these specific things to have come into my life, as well as like things that I'm looking forward to, like how um, I made certain plans, had certain thoughts, and like now those things are going to be happening. I can also do that for much bigger things. So I've had money come into my life by visualizing. I've had like the house that I'm living in right now, this farmhouse, like I spent years getting outbid on homes until I realized like, oh, the law of attraction is right there in front of me. I can use manifestation to try to get a home. And pretty much as soon as I really started learning about how to visualize and how that works, I put a bid on this house, and pretty rapidly, I think it was within like 24 hours, like my bid had been accepted. And so I know that manifestation works. And so going within myself and knowing like the power that I have of my thoughts to bring something huge into my life, like that brings so much joy to me and so much happiness. And so again, I like to think of like, what's the next big thing? Like what is the thing that I want to be bringing in that is going to add to everything else that I already have in my life that I'm grateful for. And so while a lot of these thoughts might be external, again, about like things coming up, things that happened in the past, things that are already in my life, it's like all of these thoughts are kind of introspective. They are focused on like what are my emotions that are tied to all of these things that I've gone through and that I will be going through? Um, what is the framework of like what I'm thinking of? So instead of just kind of acknowledging like mindfulness, like this is what is, and this is what I am. So instead of only kind of sitting with those thoughts of this is the hard reality of life, or my specific life, um, by putting a framework around it of like what I have consciously been able to bring into my life and what I consciously will be able to bring into my life, that creates like just like so much more positivity and growth going into the future. And so I will continue to be hermiting as the days and possibly like the weeks go by. I've kind of taken myself off of social media a little bit more. I'm starting to go back into reading more books that I actually wanted to read that I kind of put on my back burner. Just like little tiny things of like just like pinpoints of happiness that I could be focusing on, in conjunction with like having these questions brought up in my mind again and again, just to kind of keep pushing myself back into this is why you should be happy. This is why you should be grateful. Like, this is why you are alive right now. And it's not to kind of be sitting in a dark ruminating hole. um, yeah, so I also like to think of all of these thoughts and everything that's going on framed in the context of how do non-human intelligence kind of work within all of this. So as somebody that has kind of like these psychic gifts that are like clairvoyant, clairaudient, I know that there are beings all around me, like all the time, that can hear my thoughts, that are concerned for me, that want to help in whatever ways that they can. And even while filming this right now, I saw just like kind of off in the corner of my room, there's like a little like light burst. So that happens pretty frequently if there's some kind of being that wants to like let me know like I'm here with you right now and I'm listening to what you're saying. Um, but I also like to think that like as I'm going internal, that there are beings that are around me that are also seeing internally what's going on and kind of nudging, helping, pushing, with their own kind of messages and communications. So I would say that if there are other experiencers that are watching this right now, to be very aware of the fact that the non-human intelligence is like not the solution to your problems. Like doing CE5 outside, calling them in and saying like what are you going to tell me, like give me guidance and I'll do that, like that is not going to be the way to properly hermit, I suppose. Spiritually speaking, like going outside of yourself and listening to any beings that are not clearly God or yourself, like your higher self, that's not the answer. But the non-human intelligence coming in and giving you some types of messages and guidance and kind of intuitively pushing you in a certain direction to think about something, like that's definitely very helpful. So I also kind of incorporate just plain old meditation into what I'm doing in order to um, improve my mindset. So I'll clear my mind and I'll try to kind of brighten my heart space and brighten my mind, third eye, as much as possible. Um, like kind of see myself emitting light from those areas, and then I'll wait for any types of messages and communications of if you do have any guidance and you are a benevolent being, you are a messenger of God, if you are just working from any of these kind of positive higher states, um, please let me have the message, and I will sit and I'll wait and I'll see images come in, or I'll just like have a knowing of something that I should be thinking about, or a song might just be put into my mind that's like the certain lyrics that I'm immediately hearing out of nowhere, like those will be very pertinent to something that I'm going through, and I'll know that I should focus on that and not something else. But yeah, it's also worth kind of incorporating non-human intelligence and like their kind of help and guidance into your personal kind of daily practice, if you have the capability of doing that. Yeah, so if you have been called to kind of go within recently and focus more clearly on like your own thoughts and how you can change them to be in a better place, please let me know. And if you have any just personal questions that you ask yourself that you feel um, improves your day and makes your day better. Um, so yeah, I will see you in the next video. So thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.